Hi, my name is Allie Tanzer, and it has been my dream since my senior year of high school to be an occupational therapist. I love to work with all different types of people and experience different types of personalities and stories that come with each individual that you work with. My dream has also been to work with children, but I know as an occupational therapist, I will have to work with all age groups, including the elderly. The elderly population is on the rise, and the number will continue to grow as the baby boomer age increases. With this increase in elderly comes an increase in disease as well as medical issues. One of the most problematic conditions in the US that affects more than 5 million individuals is Alzheimer's. It is one of the most expensive conditions in the US and is the result of atrophy of the brain, which causes memory loss as well as confusion and disorientation. It was stated by the speaker that by 2050 it is estimated that Alzheimer's will affect more than 16 million people. Because of this increasing number, it is important that we learn the signs and symptoms as well as how to handle the changing attitudes of the individual. A person diagnosed with Alzheimer's can live a normal and healthy life up until the time they are either forced to enter or guided by a loved one to enter a long-term care facility. Long-term long-term care facilities consist of community-based residential living facilities, RCACs that are apartment-style living, and skilled nursing facilities or nursing homes. Each facility is different and can provide different attributes and components depending on the future resident. It is also extremely important that the setup of the facility is designed for the betterment of the patient, meaning that if the resident has Alzheimer's, the carpet and floor tiles should not be too flashy or bordered with different colors that will scare the patient. Hallways should not be too narrow, and the exits consist of unappealing tiles to keep residents away from them. If a person is just looking for a final place to live out the rest of their lives, it is important that the facility make the resident feel at home and allow them to bring in a few items from their previous residence so they do not get too homesick and can start a new life at the facility. As a future occupational therapist, it will be important to help new residents to adjust to their setting as well as them work with new appliances that are associated with the long-term care facility. Other key aspects that are extremely important as a person ages are knowing how, when, and why to take medication, as well as proper nutrition intake and what diets the elderly should and should not participate in. Taking medications is somewhat of a norm as people get older. It is important as a future healthcare professional to know that elderly individuals can be placed on many different types of medications and to also know that sometimes these medications can counteract one another. So it is extremely crucial that we take a careful drug history. From the speaker, I also learned that cost is the number one reason why people ages 50 and older do not fill prescriptions. It is also important that an individual gets strict guidelines on what to take on when to take their medications as well as how many to take. Nutrition also plays a role in how the elderly are able to function and maintain their healthy lifestyles. In class, we were able to learn about many different types of diets that are popular in today's society and what aspects of each are positive and negative for the elderly population. Overall, I feel that an aging individual should contact their doctor to find out what foods are best for them, as well as incorporate all food groups into their diets, but in moderation. As a future member of the healthcare field, it will also be important for me to slowly try and encourage healthy eating to individuals, but never force them to do or eat anything that they do not want. Another way to improve the elderly population's healthy lifestyle is through healthy lifestyle and healthy aging facilities. I was fortunate enough to present this topic in class, and what I learned will not only benefit me for this class, but it will also aid me in guiding my future patients to different workout facilities around the area so they can be equipped with the proper training programs as well as personal trainers if desired. Staying physically active is so important in maintaining body physique as well as health. It was also stated in class that death is the greatest hazard of being immobile, so having programs around the community is a great way for the elderly to remain active as well as maintain social relationships. There are other aspects of getting older that affect the elderly in ways that may be hard for people to talk about because at times it may be controversial. Death, dying, and grief are topics that may at times be difficult for people to talk about with their elderly loved ones, but they are extremely important and need to be discussed before the loved one is unable to communicate anymore or cannot physically state what their last requests are. As an occupational therapist, it will be important to respect the views of my patients no matter what, and to know that elderly people who are terminal should be able to make their own life and death situations, even if at times it goes against your own opinion medically or religiously. Another topic that comes about in the lives of elderly individuals are advanced directives or living wills. After filling out a living will in class, I now know how important it is to inform your loved ones and family members of your last wishes so they do not have to guess what you would have wanted or have controversy within the family as they watch their loved ones pass on. I also learned how easy it is to fill out the directive and how little time it takes. It is important to not leave family members with so many hard choices as they are already suffering from the loss that is to come. There are occasions when families can disagree over many topics when a loved one becomes ill and can no longer take care of themselves. Family conflict at the end of life can range from many different things, such as what type of caregiving mom or dad should have, what types of medications are given, how to finance caregiving, family roles and responsibilities, as well as how to cope spiritually. It is important to handle these conflicts in a positive manner and to put as little stress on the sick family member as possible. As an occupational therapist, it will be just as important to work with patients' families as it is with the patient, so knowing conflict resolution is crucial. Two other topics that are becoming increasingly significant in today's elderly population are the concepts of sexual orientation as well as how to understand different cultures and traditions. Sexual orientation has been a topic that has been discussed for years, but in recent times it is starting to be something that is talked about more frequently as well as something that is more accepted. During class, we did an activity that opened our eyes to look at the possibility of an elderly couple living in a nursing facility that was of the same gender and the struggles that they may endure. Most of the class, and myself included, had no objection to these individuals and their lifestyles, but as a future healthcare provider, it is important to know that there will always be people who are against the idea of the same gender being together. With this, I need to know how to respect others' opinions as well as introducing people to a new era of acceptance and love. Understanding others' cultures, medical systems, and beliefs has also been an ongoing topic that in recent years has been controversial as well as enlightening to many healthcare officials. From the speaker in class, I learned how important it is to know the traditions of your patients and to make sure that patients of a different culture other than your own have a trained medical interpreter with them at all times so they are getting the correct medical translation. It is also important to know that many of your patients may be illiterate or not want to offend you in any way, so they will not make eye contact or ask questions that may be needed. As a future occupational therapist, I want to be able to learn from my patients and make them as comfortable as possible, even if that means learning new techniques from a culture that is not my own. Finally, and most important, I got to learn what life was like growing up for my grandmother, as well as how the aging process works from doing a face to face interview and writing a reflection paper. My grandma has always been one of the biggest influences in my life, and it was a great opportunity to get to know more about her as well as how she tries to age effectively. I feel that this class I will not be able I feel that after this class I will now be able to effectively work with all aging patients no matter what gender, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or culture they derive from. I have also learned that it is important to never judge a patient on their family or their family members because you never know where they came from or their background. The class the class Issues in Aging has been a guide that I will use for many years to come in my future profession in the healthcare field. Thank you. Watch out.